and welcome to Ford's Theater. I'm Paul Tatro, the director of Ford's Theater, and we're students and teachers in the states and the District of Columbia will speak to you from our stage. This program is made possible with the generous support of B15 season. Please join in giving them a round of applause. The National Oratory Fellows program offers ambitious history, English, and language arts the opportunity to work closely with Ford's Theater teaching artists to bring Abraham Lincoln's legacy to life in their classrooms through oratory. Lincoln's together over the last year, they have studied speeches and written their own, sharing their vision for our future. The student delegates you will hear from today represent their schools in Arizona, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Kansas, Maryland, Missouri, Nebraska, Virginia. Their teachers became part of this through participation in the Civil War Washington Teachers Fellows, and about all of our programs in our education brochures available at the theater. I'd now like to welcome to the stage National Oratory Fellow Darren Comstock to share with you some of his thoughts on legacy.
And in front of you with a copy of his speech written in 3 different colors of ink, 2 different kinds of and 2 numerous commas, underlines, and arrows to begin to explain. So here we go. Abraham Lincoln. 2 simple words, but one enduring legacy. Why? I believe that so many people claim Lincoln as their own because his story is so relatable. Lincoln's story is my story. His story is your story. Lincoln's story is the story of America. That one person born of humble means, but special talents, faced with numerous obstacles and few advantages, and the will to achieve can accomplish anything. This is the legacy of Lincoln that I instilled. As I was could I so eloquently explain Lincoln's legacy in my classroom? It hit me. Simple, but poignant, like Lincoln himself. Nothing that I have ever done of Lincoln's legacy in my classroom who applied to Civil War Washington workshop, passion and curiosity for history, just like Abraham. Opportunity for my kids to hone their speaking and communication. The opportunity to do something that Abraham Lincoln did when he was a young man moving to Springfield, Illinois, and joining the Springfield Lyceum, because Lincoln knew that the key to his future lied in public speaking. You live Lincoln's legacy. You students were then assigned, selected, or wrote your own speech. You spent hours writing and re-practicing, editing, fine-tuning your own, finding just the right word that would stir the listener. Every speech Lincoln gave, he went through the same process. You lived Lincoln's legacy. Then came the time to show everything that you, all your hard work and practice, performed. And all of you obviously held and wowed your audience. And you earned your way to Washington, just like Abraham Lincoln, who did all these things that we did, earned the president, which brought him here to this same great city. You live Lincoln's legacy. So it is altogether fitting and proper that we are here in a place that Lincoln loved, the theater, doing something Lincoln worked mastering, public speaking. I think that if Lincoln would have loved nothing than to have been sitting right, leaning, tilting his head back with that high-pitched lift, skills that you young children are going to display today. So now what? Don't let this go to waste. So place where Lincoln's legacy, unexpected, resolved to leave here and continue to use all the skills and the Oratory Fellows have brought us, and continue to be the living ambassadors of Lincoln's living legacy. So say a big thank you to all the donors. Show much love to Cynthia, Fem, and all your teaching assistants. Give your teacher a high five. And here, and continue, and the Oratory Fellows continue to endure. Thank you.
On 2012, shot me on the left side of my. They shot my friends too. They thought against us. They failed. Out of that silence, the terrorists thought my ambitions, but nothing changed in my life except this: weakness, fear, hopelessness died. Power and courage. I am Allah. My ambitions are the same. My dreams are the same. And my hopes are the same. We realize the importance of light when we see darkness. We realize the importance of our voice when we are silenced. In the same way, we realize the importance of pens when we saw the guns. The extremists are afraid of violence. The power of frightens them. They are afraid of women. The power of the voice of women frightens them. This is why they killed 14 innocent students in the recent attack in Canada. That is why they killed female teachers. They were and they are afraid of change and equality that we will bring to our society. Today, I am focusing on women's rights and girls' education because they are suffering the most. I'm focusing on women to be independent and to fight for themselves. So, dear sisters and brothers, now it's time to speak up. So today, to change their strategic policies and priority, we call upon the world that all of these deals must protect women and children's rights. A deal that goes against the rights of women is unacceptable. We call upon all governments to ensure free, compulsory education all over the world for every child, children from brutality and harm. We call upon the developed nations to support needs for girls in the world. We call upon all communities to be tolerant, to reject. So let us wage a glorious struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism. Let us pick up our books. They are the most powerful weapons. One child, one mother, one book, and one pen can change the world. Thank you.
I am the living reminder of my mother. I am a reminder of my mother because I have a short temper, just like her. Peace, I like being grounded, and I don't like stupid. The living reminder of my kindness. I like everything done my way, and that's the person. I'm allergic to sharing. I don't like people telling. I'm also the living reminder of my grandmother's kindness. Underneath my stubborn skin is a caring and loving person. I love hanging around and I treat them like family, just like my grandmother does. I'm the living reminder of Harriet, the woods to free 300. of Martin Luther, who fought with his words and never physically, because he believed his words were stronger than he could choose from. Some were hung from trees and streets. I'm related to our mothers and forefathers, DNA, because we still hold the same beliefs. It is important to me because they fought for freedom and they had strong hearts. A living reminder of a young generation that still has concerns and we still need our voices heard. Still issues to discuss concerning the future generation. As young people, we should be kind enough to reach out to those in need. A reminder of these things. In the future, I want to become a writer. By becoming a writer, I could change the world because one day I'll have the courage enough to say something in someone's heart in a strong way and can be forgotten. I want the world to become or see violence. I want to become a world for God and filled with His truth, a place without war, threats, and no food and countries. That will be.
I believe you should never underestimate yourself. I didn't always love science. In fact, people I know might even say that I hated, but I feel like it's the right word. And they wanted me to play too. So I stuck with it and got better until I progressed and met a great soccer. I remember when I was training with that great soccer player and some other really good friends. We're talking about players 2 or 3 years older than me. And even worse, they were ODP players. That means Olympic development players. I thought I stood no chance. Luckily, we hadn't done anything to. Then we started walking over towards where the goals were. I realized we were doing 1v1. One player versus another player without any help and any teammates. I was first in line. To my opponent's eyes, they looked like death. Scared. I once again touched the ball, realizing that I should not be scared because before and I can beat her. I take the ball, leaning left. I lunge forward, take a shot, and score. I had done it. I beat her. Don't underestimate yourself, because we're here to be that person. That person that knows every was once a contender, refused to give up. That person who isn't afraid of them or anyone else. This I believe. Thank you.
Ours, and from across the Atlantic, we welcome those stricken by the storms of patriotism. And yet, the fact remains, the root of earth under the stars and the eagle on your flag, where a man of my complexion can stand free. There's no mountain so high, no plain so extensive, no spot so sacred that it is dear to me the right of liberty. Wherever waves the star-spangled banner, there the bondman may be arrested and hurried back to the jaws of slavery. This is your land of freedom, your home of the brave. I never knew what it was till I got beyond the limits of the American eagle. When I first rested my head on a British island, I felt that the eagle, but from its talons and beak, I was free, at least for a time. I know this kind of talk is not agreeable to what are called. Indeed, they called me a traitor. 2 things are necessary to make a traitor. One is he shall have a country. I believe if I had a country, I should be a patriot. But when I remember that the blood of 4 sisters and a brother is making fat the soil of Ireland and Virginia, when I remembered that an aged grandmother reared 12 children for their southern slave market, and these each one after another were torn from her bosom, no! I make no pretending to patriotism. As my voice can be heard on this or the other side of the Atlantic, I will hold America in scorn of moral indignation. In doing this, I shall feel myself discharging the duty of a true patriot. For he is a lover of the country who rebukes and does not excuse its sins. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Cristal Ramírez. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Ramirez. I believe that Hispanic immigrants coming to the United States have the same respect as those who live here. Respect. Respect means treating others exactly the way you want to be treated. This is a story. When I was young, kids in my school laughed at me when I tried to speak in English. That made me feel melancholy and shy. In school again, many Hispanic immigrants struggle with the children deserve respect and learning. Today, I am a Hispanic American, and I am proud to be able to speak 2 languages. I believe Hispanic immigrants deserve better jobs. I have an own here. Her great and powerful career ended. She does not have to be a dentist here. Instead, my aunt reluctantly had to work in a job that was low paid. But the most important thing was that that was not her dream or what she wanted. Hispanic immigrants deserve respect for their high skills and ingenious knowledge. I believe that immigrants can economically help the they have the opportunity to gain their legal status, residency, rights to and to travel without fear of getting deported. Hispanic immigrants can pay taxes and buy houses. That is the reason why they're here. Hispanics and all of us have wanted another chance, and they think it's to have a chance, not like in some other countries where chaos and danger lies. Martin Luther King said, "I dream that my children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." This is why I believe Hispanic immigrants deserve the respect they deserve and to live and be part of this great nation. God bless America. I believe. Gracias.
The Bill of Rights is a very important document that contains many valuable freedoms, the foundation of American society. One of the most important freedom of religion. Many immigrants have lands due to persecution and religious beliefs that were rejected in their home country. Some even paid the ultimate price of their lives. One of the greatest things about this country is that everyone can come and not have to worry about the consequences of their beliefs. I think that religion is one of the most of a person's life. Without religion, what's the point of living? Privilege Americans can enjoy worshiping as they please. And I feel that freedom of religion is so much more than all the other freedoms because people die all the time. Religion is a thing that people can center their lives around it. For years, people's human sense that there was much more to life than just physical attributes. Our founding fathers knew how important it was by listening in the Bill of Rights. According to the First Amendment, the government can't ban belief. It can limit other freedoms, such as freedom of speech, take your right away to believe. And as Thomas Jefferson once said, the constitutional freedom of religion of all human rights. Thank you.
Why are we here? Plain, property issue should now find itself so to be argued before the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I mean, do we fear that the lower courts, which found for us easily, somehow is the truth? Is that it? Or is it rather that our great and civil war has allowed us to keep symbolism, a simple case that never asked for it, and should now have us disregard truth, even as it stands before us tall and proud as a mountain? The truth has been driven from this case, flogged from court, wretched and destitute, and on no legal acumen on the part of my opposition, I might add, but through the long and powerful arm of the executive office. This is no mere property case, gentlemen. I put it the most important case to ever come before this court, because what it in fact concerns is the very nature of man. Oh, I must say, I differ with the King of the South and our president, who shares their views, offering that the natural state of mankind is instead, and I know this is a controversial idea, freedom is freedom. And the proof of the length to which any man it once taken. He will break limits, he will decimate enemies, he will try and try and try against all odds, against all odds to get home. Yet if the South is right, what are we to do with this embarrassing, annoying document, the Declaration of Independence? What if it concedes all men are created equal, inalienable rights, life, liberty, and so on and so forth? What are we to do with this? James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. We've long resisted asking you for guidance. Perhaps we fear in doing so, we might acknowledge that our individuality is entirely our own. Perhaps we feared an appeal might be taken for weakness. But we've come to understand, finally, so. We understand now, we've been made to understand, and we embrace the understanding that who we are, we need your strength to triumph over our fears, our prejudices, ourselves. Give us the strength to do what is right. If it means civil war, then let it come. And may it finally be the of the American Revolution. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I believe in inner beauty. Let inner beauty determine who you really are, not who you want to be based on what other people say or think about you. It doesn't matter. Helen Keller was deaf and perplexed on the outside, although Anne Sullivan, her inner beauty. Helen Keller was the first deaf and blind person to earn her Bachelor of Arts degree. Her inner beauty took her far in life. Another person I'd like to mention is Albert Einstein. Not many people, his inner beauty. I believe that inner beauty is that special thing. Different. What's your special thing? Courage, compassion, intelligence. Why would you spend all this money on makeup when the original version of you is worth? A man at my church named Josh. He used to be addicted to alcohol and drugs. People believe and he pushed through it. Now, he has a great job, a great family, at my church. To some, he may look a little scary, but on the inside, he's the most person I've ever met. Another example is Selena Gomez. Gomez is a singer, dancer, actress. She's even more beautiful on the inside. Selena Gomez takes time out of her busy celebrity life to volunteer work and unfortunate people. Think about in movies, when there's that really pretty, top-notch girl who gets all the guys. That really top-notch girl is always really mean. Be the person that's nice to everyone, no matter who they are or what they look like. I mean, I say I'm pretty, but I'm much more than that. Abraham Lincoln once stated that common-looking people are the best in the world, and that is why God makes so many of them. Let your inner beauty shine. Thank you.
I believe in time travel. Although many people will argue that time travel is fiction, I know that it is possible. My journey begins when I leave and go to New York. As the car rounds the corner and goes up the hill for the first time, my eyes are wide with anticipation. I see the lake first, I yell, as a sliver of glistening water comes. I always feel lucky when I'm the winner. This game has been played since my great-grandparents purchased the summer nearly 70 years ago. When I step out of the car and place my sandaled foot onto the fluffy grass, I feel that I'm back in time. The inviting welcome from my family is always the same, even though everyone's a year older. Within never left. Days filled with classic summer activities, frog catching, boating, swimming, tubing, and water skiing. My excursions with my cousins, and in some cases, get us in a bit of trouble. My favorite event, down our neighbor's flowers from his garden, then sold them back to him. That one was never been done before, added to the family club. As I view those, I notice a common theme. There's been little change. This seems to be unnoticed with my family. On clear nights, 3 generations gather around the fire, and the storytelling begins. The tales are such amazing details. It seems like I was there when it occurred. Story, I'm convinced that I see the image of those who have gone before us, flickering flames. The night goes on, and the mountains echo back. The fire dies down, and one by one, we drift. The days happen. With the sky, I board the wing. I believe in time travel, I say with a smile. Family, well, thank you.
What is your true self? I believe that you should be true to yourself. For me, that means that you don't care what people think. For example, like when you're a young child, where you can wear whatever and not care, and have the days pass by in a blur of giggles and smiles. Don't try to live up to standards. Live up to no or that always judged you on what you were wearing or what you were into. Yeah, they aren't your true friends. Your true friends will you for who you are. Don't try to change you. A really close friend of mine suffered from clinical depression. In fact, it just made it worse for her. She was the type of girl who would tell she was sad or anything because she always hid it in. You kind of only knew a really close friend. She was a tall, beautiful, and creative girl, but those deep and scary thoughts kept getting to her. So she tried to commit suicide about 4 times and started to cut her wrists. Finally, a friend found out, and she started her, but she's and I don't think she'll ever be. I know you're thinking, don't you know, other people get bullied for other stuff, like ability. I do, but not being comfortable in your own body, worst feeling ever. Plus, I know almost, if not everybody, has felt insecure about what they look like or their body. Honestly, you're beautiful, and that's what makes you. Don't change for others, girls. Put your hair down or in a and go out without any makeup. Just go out in sweats and don't hair. Leave it as it is. There's an old saying, and it says, if you don't like me at my worst, then you surely don't like my best. If it wasn't clear enough, what I want is for people to not care about what others think, just be them. I hope my speech made an impact and made you see things in a new and better perspective. Thank you.
This, I believe. I believe that life has value. Life is like gold. If not gold, then like diamond. If not then platinum. You would not go away a diamond. So why end a life? When you end a life, or sister, grandma or grandma, aunt or uncle away from them. The thought of some people are cold-blooded here. If you look at statistics, 1 out of every 3 people know someone has been shot. 1, 2, 3 shootings. Why the stabbings? Why? If it's because of the inability to settle by talking like mature adults. I have often been told that life was like a cherished toy, as in you don't know what you have until it's gone. So cherish your life while you can. We are all well aware of the that occurred here in Ford's Theater years ago. The actions of one man left the nation deceived. Sanctuary and loved and replaced it with pain and sorrow. Was it worth it? My little sister is. I've seen her grow and seen her change. If anything were to happen to her, I would be devastated. Imagine the thought, losing someone you love and hold dear to your heart. The pain, sorrow, enemy. I hope and think not. But even will make a difference. One life is someone's diamond. One diamond has value. This, I believe.
My name is Jim Rossi, and I'm an 8th grade teacher at Mother Seton Academy. And I am proud to say that I live and teach in the great city of Baltimore. Last rest of our country watched violence and disorder overtake my city. Tours being live on TV. I heard the sirens of police cars. And I smelled the smoke from a neighborhood as it burned to the ground. I prayed for the safety of my students, especially my students that live in the Sandtown-Winchester neighborhood. Monday night was long, and it was filled with uncertainty. Schools were closed on Tuesday, and when we returned to school on Wednesday, I stood in front of my class and I asked them one question: what can we learn from this? Started responding like the first drops of rain hitting the roof during the storm. They began sharing their experiences. Shared, the police were marching up and down my street. The roar of the helicopters kept me up all night. Tanija whispered, I was scared. Next, they began to question why Monday became so violent. Mr. Rossi, help us get justice for Freddie Gray. CVS, where can I go for medicine now? Why destroy our own neighborhood? Then my room was flooded with support for peaceful change in Baltimore. Mr. Rossi, it is important for the police and the citizens to talk to one another. We need to use our words to express our frustration, not right. We need to use our voices to change the perception of our community. Where legacy lives. You see that phrase on the Ford site, on the street signs out front? It's even on the podium right in front of me. Well, I'm here to tell you that Lincoln's legacy isn't just a slogan or a catchy tagline. It's alive. It's real. And on Wednesday morning, as my students answered my one question, I felt the legacy of a man who was assassinated right there 150 years ago, alive and well in my classroom. My students expressed with passion the need to peacefully protest. They brainstormed ways to promote and foster dialogue between the community and the police. They discussed how learning to speak for oneself allows a person to change the world with their thoughts and ideas. And they told me that those words and ideas and their education do more to change our country than tearing down a neighborhood. I was honored to be in the presence of students who could articulate and defend their ideas with passion, logic, and reason. The Academy and the Oratory Fellows program developed these students. Lincoln's legacy is alive. It's alive in all of you. It's alive in all of your classrooms. His legacy inspires me to help my students find their voice. It motivates me to teach history in a way that allows my students to learn from their past in order to change their present so they can accomplish the Lincoln is alive and well. It's live in Baltimore. Thank you.
It is no exaggeration, I think, to state that the situation in Little Rock brought the desegregation sharply to the attention of the American people and the world. Here at home, it awakened many citizens for the first time to the ugly realities of a challenge to the very unity of dealt a stab in the back to the American prestige as a leader of the free world and presented our totalitarian enemies with made-to-order propaganda for use among the very nations and peoples we need and on the side of democracy. The world cannot understand nor long respect a nation whose governor calls out troops to bar little children from school. In the Supreme Court, a nation whose mobs beat and kick and stone and spit upon those not to be white. It asks human dignity and equality of opportunity. Is this fair play? The notion that Little Rock has damaged America abroad, the Negro citizens of our common country, a country they have sweated to build and died to defend, the verdict to will not be announced, that the clock will not be turned back, that they shall enjoy what is justly theirs. The Negro position is clear. 3 years of intimidation, or shaking their conviction. what of the rest of our nation? It must make a decision for morality and legality and move in support, not merely for the good of the Negroes, but for the destiny of the nation itself. Thank you.
I wish you all could have known my Uncle Billy. My uncle was amazing. He was smart, artistic, and that's where I get my drama from. By the way, he was gay. I believe people should have the same right. Love is a hard thing to come across and hard to define. It is a special feeling that not one person can control. To make the true meaning of love. Gays should have the rights to know and experience. The Bible says, love your neighbor, not judge your neighbor. Even though Pope Francis is not in favor of gay rights, he is in favor of gays are judged by who they love. And I was raised someone for what they look like, accept someone for who they are. Laws are starting to change, but slowly. In Chicago, our country's gay rights organization, and you notice that I said 19. So let's do the math. It is 2015, 1924. That equals 91 years. Did you know that it's really hard for gays to find and get jobs? Well, some businesses and religion are prejudiced or afraid. And I'm asking you to please and support those businesses and religion that discriminate. Imagine when you, how would you feel if people bullied you because you were do that? So, do you know that a person to bullying, their percentage of suicide is 3 times likely than a non-gay person? It is time that gays have all the rights that all Americans can guarantee on, like to be able to marry, to be themselves, and not bullied. Find their happy endings. This I truly believe. This speech was a memory of my Uncle Billy. Thank you.
Lincoln, like many of our forefathers, loved this nation and worked hard to secure its future. At Gettysburg, he spoke of the great Civil War in which the nation was engaged. He spoke of his devotion and resolve to this nation of a new birth of freedom. Another type of war is in our time today. More and more of our citizens are relying on government assistance. Continues to be an issue. Many rely on food, Medicaid, and public housing. While these programs are helpful in time of need, they are a temporary fix, not a permanent solution. Lincoln said no country can sustain in idleness more than a small percentage of its numbers. The great must labor at something productive. Labor is the true standard of value. We suffer from too little responsibility and idleness. This nation long endure? I believe that the people of this nation have become reluctant to work and to take responsibility for their actions. My great-grandfather, in many ways, were a lot like Lincoln. Both men were born into poor homes and had little education. Like Lincoln, they had a strong work ethic, self-made men. They worked hard all their lives, placing value on education, science, responsibility, and civic duty. These values were passed on to their children. Property is the fruit of labor. Property is desirable, is a positive good in the world. That some should be rich shows that others may become rich, and hence encouragement to industry. I believe, as Lincoln, work, work, work is the main thing. I believe that we can again become a healed nation, a nation that can long endure, and that a government of the people, by the for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Thank you.
We've all witnessed it. We've heard the stories. Some of us may have even experienced it firsthand. Getting shoved into his locker, the girl purposely not to the party, rejected. The despicable names, humiliated, bullying. Although it was even more profound during Abraham Lincoln's president of the United States, in its other different name, slavery. As he led our country through one of its darkest hours, he stood his ground at the North and South to abolish slavery. His rang true as he proclaimed that nation was conceived and dedicated to all men are created equal. 150 years later, Lincoln's words still lead as we go to battle against bullying. I how many bullies believe that all men are equal? How many bystanders believe take a stand against? According to statistics, 7% of teens have witnessed bullying occurring in their schools, and approximately 30% of young people admit to bullying others. This report also finds that bullying stops within 10 seconds. 57% of someone intervenes. 10 seconds. If we stand up for others, bullying won't stand a chance. To put my feet in the right place of compassion and ultimately friendship. I accept and appreciate those who are different from me but are created equal. I will empower others as I change myself, attitude, and my thoughts when I and damage respect. I will. I ask you to be a good one. Be a good friend. You. It is urgent that we begin now to stand firm. Abe's own words, leave nothing for tomorrow and be done today.
On July 1st, 1971, the 26th Amendment gave 18-year-olds. I don't think 18-year-olds are mature enough or responsible enough to start voting. Most 18-year-olds are in voting, and as a result, they don't put as much thought into voting as they should. There are some reasons that an 18-year-old is, by law, an adult. As an adult, they can do things such as enlist in the army, get married, or be legally held by, but just those things doesn't make them enough. Maybe after they do some of those things, they would be mature enough. For instance, if they go into the military and they have served for our country, they have worked for our country, and they have learned about our country. Also, if they get married and or have children, then they will most likely have taken up new responsibilities and will be sufficiently mature. Most 18-year-olds done very many things. Representative William O'Brien from New Hampshire says that young voters lack life experience and just vote their feelings. I strongly agree with these thoughts. By the time done, so likely they will be in their 20s. Since this is about the age that one would be mature enough to vote, we should raise the voting age to 20. Then we could possibly voters. I think that 18-year-olds study and learn about what they are voting for before they do, or that they even care. Think about it. Can you really trust an immature person that will help the country the most in our country? I have given you what I think can solve the problem of immature voting. Now do you. The 26th Amendment gave 18-year-olds the right to vote. Will we be letting immature people decide our country's future? Thank you.
I am the living reminder of my grandmother because I act the way she acted. always had a bright smile on her face. She gave people a piece of her mind. Just like my grandmother, not so long ago, my brother and I were arguing over a problem. He told me, but it was wrong. Okay, first of all, no sibling of mine, younger or older, tells me I'm wrong, except for the adults. But that still doesn't mean I can't speak my mind and my mouth. My grandmother's skin color was a tannish yellow, and her eyes were so beautiful I fell in love with. And my great-great-grandfather fell in love with her. Oh, a reminder of my uncle. My Uncle Reuben is an amazing man. All of his nieces and nephews gave us good advice on what to do. But then he had an accident. He's in therapy. But the same with funny advice. When he had his accident, it was almost my birthday. I was so overwhelmed. I thought to myself, this is not going to be at all. I've learned to be grateful and value the things I have. Watching my work hard has inspired me to work hard in school. I tell these stories because they have changed my life both in a positive way and a negative way. I learned bravery from my grandmother. My Uncle Reuben taught me to be successful in the future, I will have to take calculated risks. I am the living reminder from my past, knowing and making a difference in the world. Thank you.
We are here this evening for serious business. We are here in a general sense, first and foremost, American citizens, and we are determined to apply citizenship. We are here also for democracy because of our deep-seated belief that democracy, pen and paper, is the greatest form of government on earth. We're here because of the bus situation in Montgomery. We're here to get this situation corrected. This situation is not all new. The problem has existed over endless years. For many years now, Negroes in Montgomery and so many other areas have been afflicted with the crippling fear in our community. Just the other day, Thursday to be exact, one of the finest in Montgomery, not one of the Negro citizens, but one of the finest in Montgomery, was taken from a bus, carried to jail, and was arrested because she refused to give up her seat. Just because she refused to get up, she was arrested. Sorry. And you know, my friends, there comes a time when people get tired of being trampled over the iron feet of oppression. There comes a time, friends, when people get tired of being pushed across the abyss of humiliation. Where it comes a time when people get tired of being pushed out of the glittering sunlight chill. Alpine November, there comes a time. And we are here this evening because we are not here violence. My friends, don't let anybody make that we are to be compared to actions with the Ku Klux Klan or with the White Citizens Council. There will be no crosses at any bus stop. There will be no white persons pulled out of their homes, down some road, and lynched in what we are doing. If we're wrong, the Supreme Court of this nation is wrong. If we are wrong, the Constitution of the United States is wrong. If we are wrong, God Almighty is wrong. If we are wrong, Jesus, who is merely a utopian dreamer that never came down to earth. As we prepare ourselves for what lies ahead, let us go out with and bold determination that we're going to stick together. Montgomery, where the history books are written in the future, somebody will have to say, there lived a race of people people, walks in black complexion, people who had rights, and thereby then new meaning into the veins of and of civilization. And we are going to do that. God grant that we will do it for. Thank you.
Been racist towards you. Racism is like someone getting bullied, but racism is basically when people are differently according to their skin color. Schools talk about racism by having groups to talk about race because people aren't judged for each other. About racism can reduce the problem. The following research is found from Huffington Post Politics. Research shows that in public schools, students of different color get more punishments and less access to veteran teachers than the white peers. So that means that white kids get less punishments if they do something than blacks and Latinos. In school, I get in trouble, and every time my mom was the principal told my mom that she didn't have families. In schools, black and Latino students are suspended or expelled at triple the rate of their. So that means that black and Latinos are not treated. And because of that, they might not be learning well in school. There should be more discussions about racism in every school so that there wouldn't be no more problems. Everyone should treat each other fairly. Teachers should have discussions about racism. Teachers should try to racism. Try to do something being.
Malcolm X once said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to prepare for it today." Therefore, I'm going to ask you this question. Where does the runaway slave go who can't read the sign? I believe he becomes a slave to desperation, and a slave to desperation is shackled to his own pain and suffering. African Americans are enslaved to the chain of slavery. The link represents every African American who fails to see education. Only a few have broken it, but not enough to break it. As people, we fail, which are an ironic apex of two African American men who are legendary martyrs of African American rights and in this place, but the horror of a monstrous park, a menagerie of drawn dreams, my downfall. It is my drive. It inspires me to move in a rapid fashion those who can't save themselves. Each year, out of 15 African American males are incarcerated, becoming slaves to stupidity and want. Without education, you are not going anywhere in this world. 14 African American males drop out of high school each year in the D.C. area. The 84% go on to unlock the golden door to their future in the new world. With education, we could break the cycle completely and the chain of slavery and begin building strong black families that could carry on the legacy of education. A painful death than live a life without education. Education is my life, and without it, I would be nothing. It is an indentured servitude that I pay happily for the ability of seeing the new world. For my ancestors to chance, I will not turn around and spit in their face by throwing it away. Jay-Z once said that a midget who sits on a giant's shoulder see much further than the giant. My ancestors made gigantic sacrifices for me to have this chance and to see much further than their slave work. I am their dreams reincarnated, manifestation of one word, success. And it is mine. My education represents ancestors. No one can take that away from me. So I ask you, where does the runaway slave go, but who read the sign of it? He goes on to unlock the golden door and sees much further than the giant. Thank you.
Fellow corresponding to this 4 years ago. Thoughts were anxiously war. All dreaded it, all sought to avert it, while the inaugural address delivered from this place devoted altogether to saving the Union without war. Insurgent agents city seeking to dissolve the Union and divide effects by negotiation. Both parties deprecated war, but one of them would war rather than let them survive, and the other would accept war rather than perish. And the war came. The whole population were slaves. These slaves constituted a peculiar and powerful interest. That this interest was somehow the common to strengthen, perpetuate, and extend was the object for which the insurgents would rend the Union by war. Yet if God wills that it continue until piled by bonds 200 quite toil sunk, and until every drop drawn with the lash shall be paid with the sword, with for none, with for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us the right to see. Strive to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds for every woman nations. Thank you.
I hate the fact that I have to have a conversation with my son. I need you not to make any sudden movements. I need you to answer all questions yes or no, sir. I need you not to curl your lip or roll your eyes. I need you to be respectful. I need you to be angry no matter what they say or do. It's not about me making you weak. This is about me trying to make sure that you stay alive. And I hate I'm putting shackles on the lion of the sun that I want to raise. Whether you put 1960s shackles for a couple of minutes than for me to lower a casket because your cell phone happens to look like a gun on some alley. I can't do that. I can't say that to your mom. It is against the natural order of the life cycle. Parents bury children. Children bury their parents. And I'm not saying cops are bad people, but the puzzlement of what's going on in our country leaves me clueless like Scooby and Shaq break. You see on TV ain't fake. This is real. Real as Michael Brown not being a college graduate one day. Real as the fact his body on some New York corner. Of Trayvon Martin following and leaving me with more question marks above my mind. I need you to stay quiet. Wise about your life, that your life is not target practice, your Atlantic Ocean. Be self-evident that all men are created equal. Thurgood Marshall saying to the Board of Education, have a right to learn, equal or greater than the fact of Jesse Owens' speed being faster than his, and equal to the fact that Rosa Parks could choose to sit in the front of the bus or the back of the bus she chooses. And here I stand with a box that's changed history looking over me. Abraham Lincoln, dreamer, sat watching American cousins. John Wilkes Booth believed by killing the dreamer, he was killing the dream. However, understand this truth, that in the May, you never kill the dream.
For the it is enough to affirm the equal manhood of the Negro race. Not astonishing? While we are plowing, planting, and reaping, using all kinds of mechanical tools, erecting houses, constructing bridges, building ships, working in metals of brass, iron, gold. That while we are writing and ciphering, acting as clerks, merchants, and secretaries, having us lawyers, doctors, ministers, authors, editors, orators, and teachers. That while we are in all manner of enterprise to digging gold in California, capturing the whale in the Pacific, feeding sheep and cattle on living, moving, acting, thinking, planning, living in families as husbands, wives, and children, and worshiping the Christians and looking hopefully for life and grave. We are called upon to prove that we are men. Thank you.
I'm here to talk to you today about something that affects us all, something that we long for. So I'm here to talk to you about freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. All things that you and me as the United States possess and use every day. Freedoms aren't as common in other all around the world. People are being denied their human rights. You hear about it in the news all the time. But how much do you actually listen to? In our modern society, there are many things that we take for granted. Our freedom is those things. Many events recently drew my attention to the subject of freedom. It was not too long eyes were on France. Freedom of the press is something that people in their daily lives over people lose. Charlie Hebdo's editors die standing and live on. Was a wake-up call to me about the education, especially
for women and girls in some parts of the world is a civil right. It must be fought for and defended. Malala fought against oppressive forces that were inhibiting her freedom to learn, and she almost lost her life. Now, we try our best to value education, freedom in Lincoln's world, and sometimes even personally, to stand up for those whose freedoms are being neglected. It's only when we and I will not be silent. Thank you.
Never even heard of sushi. Pav. I found myself in my grad and at a beautiful camp in senior Yalta. I was on airplanes that took me over many countries. After my trip to Russia, which actually should be the Soviet Union, I came back to the same school in Manchester, Maine. I didn't think I had changed at all, but boy, they changed. But today, we are not here to look back or to look backwards at all. We are here to look ahead. What I wish for is something I'll call a National Granddaughter Exchange. For a boy, National Grandson Exchange. I'm not a boy, with granddaughter. The International Granddaughter Exchange would have political leaders in nations all over the world, brothers or nieces, or grandsons or nephews, with families of opposite nations. Soviet leaders' granddaughters would spend 2 weeks in America. American leaders' granddaughters would spend 2 weeks in the Soviet Union. And, wherever possible, granddaughters of other opposing nations would exchange and have a better understanding all over the world. My father, back in Maine, at the end of my speech, so he'll probably be surprised when I say, come back home and meet my friends there. Thank you for your attention.
People. Blonde hair, brown skin, eyes, skin, black hair, pointy nose, flat ears. People. Everyone is different, yet we all have common. Human. We all have emotions and feelings, yet we strive to be everyone else. Some people even enjoy seeing other people being beaten down and hurt, but what really makes another person so different? We are the most mature, intelligent species to walk the planet. But is that really true? We can be scared and ignorant, and yet we think we are perfect. Well, think about this. Michael Brown was a normal teenager until one day a police officer that Michael had stolen something yelled at Michael to put his hands up. But Michael hesitated, but then he did. 8 shots were fired at him. He fell to the ground, dead. Was this because Michael had darker colored skin? This was a shooting based on skin color. More shootings followed. Reporters say that a shooting based on skin color happens every 27 hours. And all because of what? You have to be normal? Is it a crime to be born with different colored skin? People say that slavery is a... Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "I have a dream that one day my little children will live in a world where they will not be judged by the color, but by the content and character." So let's make that dream race. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Jenks. I'm the Director of Education here at Ford's Theater, and you all are as moved and inspired as I am. Young people to speak their minds. I'm just overcome. We have an opportunity this afternoon to do something for the first time. We often honor young orators, but the people who oratory possible very often are their teachers, and we're here today given the opportunity to honor a teacher, one of our National Oratory Fellows, with an award, and that's sponsored by BP America, which has given us their lead sponsorship for our education. And the person who's made that possible is Ray Dempsey, the Vice President of External Relations and the head of the BP America Foundation. And he's personally been an extraordinary advocate for work. And he's here today, and I hope he's just about to come up and join me. So, I introduce to you Ray Dempsey.
I'm sure I was supposed to have been paying attention. I would have been more prompt, but I appreciate it is always a privilege to be in the theater. It's been more special privilege to be here today as we get the chance to these students, their teachers, who've worked with them throughout the school year as they prepare their speeches. I spend a lot of time in my day job listening to people make speeches, usually politicians. But when I come here for this occasion, I'm always inspired by the courage of people and really provoked by their. It's really terrific to hear the things that they are able to bring. So BP America is the education program sponsor here at Ford's Theater. We're extremely proud of that relationship and more broadly of our commitment to America. It's one of our honors to be able to support this program impact that Ford's Theater has here in Washington, D.C., nationally and even around the world. As Sarah said, today we have the opportunity to celebrate the work of Ford's National Oratory Fellows, the teachers, and their student delegates. The fellows and their students used oratory as a spring to understanding the power of words to shape. Abraham Lincoln, as you all know, so well known, who used words to inspire people in Berg address. I see some hands. Good. I'd need a few prompts. But how fitting it is to have the chance to culminate their experience in this year's program by being here on Lincoln's legacy. I have the honor now of making that very special presentation Sarah mentioned, or that this year and continually will be offering both a national and a local teacher who has students in the classroom and whose achievements reflect Lincoln's and leadership principles. I'm happy to announce that the national recipient of the 2015 BP America Lincoln Teacher Leader Scholarship is Mr. Wally Haim. I see Wally on his way to the stage. I'll just tell you, American history teacher at Kuna Middle School in Kuna, Idaho. He's in his 26th year of teaching, and I said to him earlier today that means started when he was 6, just like I did 25 years ago at BP. He's both a Ford's Theater Civil War Fellow and a National Oratory Fellow for the Teaching America History in the Kuna School District. Technology Robertson Foundation based out of Boise, Idaho. He loves to challenge students, I like this part, he loves to challenge students to think like historians, to gather, organize, and analyze information in order to draw. Wally says, anytime you can encourage us to use their critical thinking skills is a great accomplishment. More. Please help me to welcome and congratulate the 2015 B America Lincoln Teacher Leader Scholarship, Mr. Wally Haim.
I don't want to take time away from these wonderful students, but I'd just like to say thank you so much to BP America for Ford's Theater, especially Sarah, Emmy, and Stephen, and these incredible fellows. I'm really humbled because every one of you deserves to be up, probably even more. And I just want to say thank you to all my students, Olivia and Sophia. I'm so proud of you guys being here, and everyone else. What you guys have done, it is a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. Every one of you guys, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
I love to room in my toilet. At least I did. And mocked me, saying, "It's Superman! Girls can't play Superman." So reluctantly, I traded in Superman's type girdle. But fighting crime in an oversized bra and high heels was frustrating. Frustration now is not just with the bra and heels, but with the gender tactics that limit girls' buying options to pink is for girls and blue is for boys. Luckily, not buying this. And like the superheroes we seek to see, girls are fine. Take 11-year-old Rowan, for example, who, as an avid reader, was so frustrated by the lack of girl superheroes, she wrote the company for change, noting, "Girls read comics too, and they care." The result? DC Comics created a superhero who, like Rowan, is smart and wears sensible shoes. Score 1 for the girls. Companies defend their marketing tactics, saying they're providing options for girls without discriminating. Are they right? Web discrimination is always their treatment unfair to girls? Yes, and the proof is on your iPhone. Just ask Madeline, a precocious 6th grader who loves to play games on her iPhone. But when playing as a girl character proved hard, she researched that 45 are the free default character, but only 5 offered free. To play most games as a girl, you literally had to. Girls are charged on average $8 extra just to be themselves. Economic discrimination? Sadly, the cost of gender discrimination is not just equal, it's social as well. Negatively impact the self-esteem of girls who are marketing with slogans like "pretty like mommy, but not smart like daddy." Issues of pink are hardly black and white. But still, marketing gender discrimination, just like any discrimination, should not be tolerated silently. So what can we do? All the examples of girls like Rowan and Madeline, we can speak out about the choices we're being given and choose those with positive images for girls and boys. Choices for women have come along in 1920. Still a ways to go. So your daughter, a female president for your country, whether you go to the store or the polls, know that choices. And like superheroes, you too can make a difference. Because as girls,
Hello, my name is George Day. Big question. Have you ever thought school starting time for middle school and high school? Getting up in the morning. School starting time needs to change because kids need at least 8 hours of sleep. Because kids have that much attention span to pay attention that early in the morning. Some parents just think it's too early. Research from Children's National Medical that the primary role, the strongest experimental primary role in the plasticity and cognition. That basically means the more sleep you get, the more you pay attention. Also, 2 people who scored earlier had more trouble staying awake. That means if you said kids will be able to learn more because they're more awake. The Washington Post report found that their children were going to sleep later and later, had to wake up to make it to school on time. This means that they want their kids to get enough sleep so they won't be restless in the morning. My conclusion is school system starting to an hour forward. If students have more time to sleep, they'll achieve better grades, achieve better attitudes, achieve more learning. Thank you.
My mom lets me alone. I like it. The whole house is quiet and very peaceful. But when I have a friend over, well, that's a different story. My mom only comes home alone with them in 2 minutes, and that's only to pick up my little sister from school. She does this because some parents don't let their children stay home alone. But I disagree. I think kids should know what it's like to stay home alone, because when they reach adulthood, they will respect. If you don't let your child walk to the convenience store a half a block away from your house, then how are they supposed to manage a real life? 2 years ago, I was a sleepover and I actually got some freedom. We got to go on a walk to a carnival and go on a picnic alone. We all went home and told our parents what an amazing time we had, but our parents disagreed. They thought we were too young to do that sort of thing, and that is a perfect example. Freedom is fun. To be afraid of going to the store because a psycho killer might jump out and kill them? Guess is not. I understand that parents love their kids and don't want them to get hurt, but I think we've gone a little too far. Studies have proved that there have been no fewer injuries to kids since everybody has become so obsessed with safety. I have heard who don't let their children trick or treat because they might get kidnapped. Well, those parents are putting wrong ideas in their children's heads. So please, let your children experience the world. Don't make them think that everything is. Most importantly, let your kids have fun. Don't make them think fun is dangerous because most of the time, it's not. So relax. Your kids will be fine. Thank you.
My task was to write a speech on what I believe in. I had to ask myself the question, what do I believe? Which got me to the core of my beliefs. Where do I come from? I believe there's a creator. Now, some of this people may judge. Some people say, and so others say, you don't know anything. But I do know. Let's say that airplane broke down, so it was a heap of parts. And then, I told you, it put itself together. You would say I'm crazy. Right, that is a crazy idea. But think of a complicated machine, the human. And so I still believe that we came from a biological soup that just formed into order, has come from order, and chaos only causes more chaos. Let's say things really did evolve. Where are the fossils of a half man, half monkey? There's no proof whatsoever that things really did evolve. And scientists to this day are still looking at things that's not even there. And teachers all across America are evolution like it's the truth. But after all, it's history. And today, we understand these 96% of their. So, I will leave it at that. Think about what you believe. Thank you.
We want to end gender inequality, and to do this, I've spoken about feminism before, and have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become man-hating. Record, feminism, by political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. When I was 8, I was called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents. When I was 14, I was socialized by certain elements. When at 15, my girlfriend started dropping in order to appear masculine. At 18, my male friends were unable to accept things. I decided that I was a This seemed uncomplicated to me, but my recent research has shown that feminism has become an unpopular word. Currently, women's experience is seen as too strong, too aggressive, and unattractive even. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one? I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male friends. I think it is right that I make decisions about my own body. I think it is right to be involved on my things that will affect lives. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. These rights I consider human rights. Yet there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to see these rights. No one country in the world can yet say that they have achieved gender equality. I'm inviting you to step forward, to speak up, to be the he for she. Yourself. Not me. Who? If not now, when? Thank you.
Millions of men and women who have gone to war to fight for us. But when they come back, our country doesn't keep our promise of taking care of them. There are tens of thousands of veterans who live on the streets and can't afford a decent meal. Why is this? Because many veterans get post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injury from experiencing trauma during war. One day at war, you are on the road. Then suddenly, you feel pain in your lower back and legs. For emergency medical assistance. Once you are paranoid that someone is after you. This is what happened to 27-year-old Jess Huff. Tragically, Jess Huff recently committed suicide because of pride eye. The best part is, Jess Huff had Gabriella, and helped Jess Huff, Gabriella lost her father. PTSD can make it difficult to function to get a job. Without a job, veterans homes. And soon they become part of the 12% of homeless adults who are veterans. Not all veterans have PTSD. In addition to becoming homeless, this may result in a drug addiction, mental illness, suicide, or spousal abuse. Thankfully, there are multiple people and projects, but it's not enough. Every day, we see them on the streets in our nation's capital. So now, voice. Will we repeat the mistake of neglecting all these heroes, or will we help them heal? You can help just by donating to the projects that help. After how much these men and women have fought for us, I think the least we can do is help these returning heroes.
I never expected to find myself giving advice to people graduating from an establishment of higher education. I never graduated from any such establishment. I escaped school as soon as I could. The prospect of 4 more years of enforced learning was stifling. I began by writing. I tended to do anything as long as it felt like an adventure and to stop when it felt like work, which meant that life did not feel like work. I hope you'll make mistakes. If you're making mistakes, it means you're doing something. In themselves can be useful. I once misspelled Caroline in a letter, and I thought, Coraline looks like a real name. Remember, the discipline you are in, whether you are a musician, artist, or a cartoonist, a writer, a dancer, a designer, whatever you do, you have one thing that is unique. You have the ability to make art. And for me, and for so many of the ultimate lifesaver, and it gets you through the other ones. It is sometimes hard. Things go wrong, and when things get tough, this is what you should do. Make good art. Husband runs off with a leg crushed and eaten by mutated boa constrictor. Make good art. Cat expert. Probably things will work out somehow, and eventually time will take the sting away. But that doesn't matter. Do what only you make good art. Make it on the good days too. Now go and make interesting mistakes, amazing mistakes. Make glorious, fantastic mistakes. Leave the world interesting for your being here. Art.
It doesn't seem quite fair that I have to bring up the rear after all of these great speeches, but privilege yet intimidating here this afternoon on this given just to share my thoughts about my unfinished work. And yet, in 2 minutes at age 50, Lincoln delivered America's most memorable speech, the Gettysburg Address. Those still alive, they must dedicate themselves to finish the task to save a nation. But I do emulate the life of Lincoln. I live a life of sound character, determination, and perseverance. I surround myself with knowledgeable people. At age 58, I've learned that age has no bearing on what we are able to do. We focus on being leaders. I'm getting to a point in my career when I get asked a lot, are you about ready to quit teaching? These questions make no sense to me. I am teaching, something that has been, and I believe I have much yet to contribute aging in this country. We are living on average today 34 years long Lincoln's time. Think about that. That's an entire second of time that's been added to our lifespan. About ready to enter that third act. I've given a lot of thought to use this gift of time. How do I live my third act successfully, and what do I want to accomplish? I've had the good fortune to experience much success in my first years, but I don't focus on accomplishments, my unfinished work. My unfinished work is not about checking items off on a bucket list. It's not even about with a job well done, and it's certainly not living with regret for what I've done in my past. As I move, I realize that the end, I will, and someday my chance will come. And I enter my third act with good health, wisdom, and a level of respect and leadership that affords the opportunity to touch more than just my students. Ambition and hard work will remain central to who I am as I continue to make deliberate choices and finished work. I could remain in the classroom, but I'm prepared to continue instead of looking for resources I am the resource. I am accept next challenge within my profession, whatever it may be. I use my position as a leader with an education to work toward the extraordinary pressure in profession using my status to be before Congress on behalf of the greatest profession, teaching. As a leader, a greater realized in my third act, their chance. My unfinished work, well, it's to inspire, teachers to motivate, beliefs attitudes to be enlightened, and unforeseen opportunities awaiting me. Yes, I'm prepared, and my chance is. Thank you.
Every May, we come together, and the staff at Ford's and the audience, we're all inspired, lifted by the ideals and the vision of these teachers who come from around the world. We're so lucky. Lucky isn't even the right word. We're delighted and that you showing leadership in coming here and in making heard. And thank you all for being an audience for a full group of student delegates and fellows. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and a great